Happy Saturday evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've got the lovely Priscilla Stone, the Quantum Witch, with me tonight. And I'm excited to have her on. She has an amazing channel, guys. Like, you have to go check her out. It's called the Quantum Wytch Cafe. She interviews people. She also, and one of the things, Priscilla, I love about your channel too, is you do this like UAP, like book club, and I think I just thought that was such an amazing idea that you have going on over at your channel, and I just appreciate you coming on so with me tonight. And it's I think it's going to be an interesting show. She's got Priscilla has a lot of abilities. She works with ETs. She's also a medium, so it's going to be an interesting evening, guys. So let's just really quick run through who's here tonight in the chat. We've got Gary, we've got Sandra, we have Sharon Guy. Hey, Sharon, haven't seen you in a little bit. Val, let's see. Hey, Jean, how are you doing? We've got Matt. We've got my son, Matt, from Supernatural Spectrum. Marcia Thomas, thank you for joining us. Mike, Kirkpatrick, thanks. If I miss anybody, my apologies. But I think I got everybody for right now. We'll get some more people filing in here in just a little bit. So tell me about yourself. Tell me, how did you get started on this journey of yours?
Okay, well, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and my grandmother was Catholic. But anybody that knows old Hispanic Catholic women is they do a lot of weird stuff that seems sort of almost like Catholics are addicted to ritual anyway. So
Hmm.
add in like the Santeria type magical stuff that she would do, like burying saints, saint candles, like the egg cleanse, stuff like that. I'd catch her doing stuff like that, and she would always talk about spirits. So I was in and out of her house, and I always just say they raised me because that's where I felt like home. There was a lot of time at my grandparents' house, so and we lived there on and off. So she was a medium. She'd be talking about spirits. So we had paranormal activity in the house, and not just human spirits. She seemed to kind of attract all sorts of things. I never had the chance to talk to her about UFOs because it was kind of like a like nobody's going to believe you thing with the UFOs
Hmm.
until recently. So yeah, I just grew up in a. She was very open, although she was Catholic, but it had to be a secret. Like I would catch her late at night doing cartomancy, which is like reading tarot cards with the deck of playing cards for people.
Oh, wow.
So I'd like sneak around the corner. So it's a
Yeah.
very open household. I
Right.
felt, for the most part, I mean, like you still have that Catholic thing where you're not allowed to talk about it, but
Hmm.
I knew that she had these gifts, and she would talk about like, oh, I went to so and so's apartment and there was a spirit there, and I helped them pass on and or move on, stuff like that. So that was the spirit stuff was normal for us. The angels and demons stuff was normal for us. And then when I was 5, I saw my first, I say set of UFOs now because I don't know how to explain it, formation of UFOs. And
Hmm.
after that, I just was like all the way in the weirdness. Like people in Catholic school called me Wednesday Adams. You don't see
Ah,
things the same after having an experience like that.
yes.
So, early lucid dreaming, early spirit visitations, early what at the time I was saying demonic attacks, um, visitations from other beings. So I used to say extraterrestrial, like for sure. But now the more we're learning about them, we find out they might not be from somewhere else,
Hmm.
like another planet. They might be from another dimension. So that's like complicated, but visitations from beings.
Right.
So I kind of shut my mouth about it, and I was always into the occult studies and witchcraft, reading cards, collecting crystals, just kind of like I would say like a naturally witchy person, where I had like high witch-like tendencies, even though I was
Hmm.
Christian. I
Hmm.
started doing kind of like the angel magic because I felt less guilty about it. I was like, angel magic, it's angels, I
Yeah.
won't go to hell for
Right.
that, right? So kept doing that, tried to be Christian on and off, even tried to be Satanist for a little bit. Like I just searching, 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 right?
Right.
And
Hmm.
then finally, I just ended up saying screw it, and I came out as a witch in 2014, 2015. And then last summer, I met this amazing group of people on Instagram that were talking about UFOs, and I'd been following the topic like the whole time. but
Hmm.
secretly, because people thought like, oh, you're making this up, that what you saw was your imagination.
Right.
You know, nobody believes you. Even with the
Hmm.
spirits that they don't want to believe you. So how many people aren't ready to accept human spirits? How are they going to be ready to accept a spirit of something they don't understand at all?
Hmm.
So ghosts make sense, spirits make sense, human spirits make sense. Sasquatch, Martians, whatever, you know, like they don't for
Right.
people. So
Right.
yeah, so I just started talking about it, and Instagram UFO people just kind of took me in and made me feel like I could talk about it. And then I started a channel.
Yeah, and I love your channel, and I it's so diverse. I mean, you have kind of like my channel. I try to do the same thing. I try to have all different types of subject matters, and people who have, who are in the same kind of, I want to say a circle, but not really. But in that same thing where we're all kind of like we're searching, we're on a journey, everybody, because I always feel like everybody has a piece of the puzzle, right? And when
Right,
we're all coming together, things start coming into focus much, much more, for all of us when we're inclusive and we're talking and we're listening to others instead of just ourselves, right? So I that's what your channel is fantastic. You guys have to go over to her channel, like, share, subscribe. You're gonna love it. Comment. Oh, I always forget that part. Make sure you
oh thank you.
comment as
Yeah,
well, right? The
I'm
comments.
not
It's
good
all
at it
about the
either.
comments.
That's probably why I don't have 1,000 followers. Yeah, I never tell anybody to like, subscribe.
I I try to remember, but I'm still new to this too. So my channel is very young, and but I have amazing people that show up for me every single week, and I appreciate them so much. And it helps you keep going. It helps you just keep going and going and going. And I tell everybody all the time, like, listen, I'm not even looking to get monetized. Just give me 500 subscribers so that I can have a community tab. That's what I would like.
Right.
That's
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
See, I
Like
didn't
that's
even know
my
that was a
goal.
thing. I just feel like it changes so much. I don't know what's going on. I just have all my friends. I see some of my friends in there from, so I see Benji and Laura and some other people that I,
Yes.
so
I've
they're
yeah,
going to come
Laura.
through.
Yeah, Laura. I've seen Laura in a lot of the different chats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's my fairy godmother. So hi,
she's
Laura.
she's awesome. She's awesome. Hi, Laura. Um, so tell me a little about um, you know, because I know that you go a lot deeper than just saying like, "Hey, I've had ET contact."
Yeah.
So yeah, you go much deeper into that. So can you talk a little bit about, maybe like tell us your first encounter, and like with meeting many beings, like to talk a little about that. I
So
love to
after
hear
my,
those stories.
oh sure, yeah. So my first like experience was just in my grandma's backyard. These three orbs, and everybody that knows me has heard the story a million times. The three orbs kind of like came in a triangle formation, like one light at a time, and it looked like a triangular craft to me at first. And it kind of like spun up and came down, and it did that three times, and then just like they lined up and then like shot off. And they were these orbs like about the size of a basketball.
Hmm.
And then after that, I started having dreams about like sleep paralysis with grays involved and other beings that I was calling angels.
Hmm.
I've always had angels visiting, but like looking back, none of them had wings, so it was kind of weird.
Mm.
Um, Now that I'm looking back at it, they they just maybe were not angels, so maybe they were light beings. This sounds like a lot more like it. The first, I think, the first big experience I had, like in waking, besides dream visitations, which people tend to just like write off, but the dream time's a whole nother reality that people overlook often. But
Hmm.
waking up with my eyes open, there was like a, what I know now is what a mantis type thing, and
Okay.
it was kind of like glitching in and out of reality. And people told me that was it coming through, like it's hologram or coming through and manifesting. And then
Hmm.
it realized I was afraid, and then it like put me to sleep. Like all of it, like so I was laying there on the floor, and there was this being, and it had this triangular mantis shaped head, the eyes were not as mantisy, like off to the side. They were like more in the front and very like
Uh-huh.
oval, not even almond, oval, but big.
Hmm.
And then it had these markings on its forehead, like 3 chevrons. And it looked like to me almost, it literally looked like a hologram. Like it was kind of like shaky and see through. And then as a little girl, I'm like freaked out by it.
Hmm.
And then I just feel calm. And then I just go to sleep.
It's interesting that they do that. And I've experienced some similar things where you're like you said, it's like you're awake, and then it's almost like as soon as they sense maybe fear, or they
Yeah.
sense hesitation, or that they're freaking you out, it's almost like calm, and then you're like, oh
You
yeah,
just
there's
go.
a
Yeah.
mantis being, but I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Right.
It's crazy that they do that. And I believe it's them somehow manipulating our energy to calm us in some way. And then, and until we're ready. Some of
Yeah.
them, like there's a couple that I've kind of come across myself that I'm not 100% sure what they were. I don't
Right.
know. I still don't. And I'm also struggling. Sometimes I am struggling with sometimes trying to discern whether what I might be going through is a timeline, like I'm viewing myself, in another timeline.
Yeah.
So sometimes I never know whether it's like it's a timeline shift or a lucid dream. Those to me, I have difficulty trying to kind of discern
Right.
between the two.
Right. And that makes sense because, when you're having the timeline shift, I've heard that it feels almost like a waking dream.
Yeah,
Like you
and it's
almost have
very.
like deja vu out of nowhere and
Mhm.
all these things that were
Yeah.
are not anymore.
Mhm.
So
Do you ever experience timeline shifts?
I'm not sure. I thought that I have a couple times when I was like, when I first had my awakening, I
Mhm.
thought that some weirdness was happening, almost like Mandela effect type stuff.
Right,
Um,
right.
but I don't fully understand the timeline shift enough to say that I've had one. I don't feel
Mhm.
like anything has changed enough for me to feel like a whole timeline has shifted. I
Mhm.
think that I've had maybe small ones because I would be talking to a friend and kind of have like that deja vu thing, like we talked about this already. Why are and
Right.
or you remember something happening completely different and not just like a little lapse in memory, but like it didn't happen that way. And somebody's like, yes, it did. And you're like, what?
Yeah. And you have
Oh,
like a different. Yeah. Yes. I've had that. I've had that. I have. I have. So are you also so do you um when you're having your like are you having like ongoing like ET contact? Like ongoing?
yeah. I was until honestly last year. Or well, no, not last year, this past summer. This past summer,
Hmm.
things
Kind of.
started slowing down and then recently have stopped within the past couple of months.
Hmm.
So I did have some strange visitations early in the year of last year and then kind of carrying on into summer.
Hmm.
And then a couple of them were just kind of more, they were, it's confusing because they were in my room, but I couldn't, like, it was like time was frozen for the other people in the house.
Okay.
So, and I don't remember like being taken per se
Hmm.
because they put me to sleep almost every time. Um, so the last one I had was in the summer and it was pretty kind of crazy. Like the being was next into me in the bed and it was a gray type being. And it was just horrible physical symptoms the next day. Like I was hungover and I wasn't. Like I didn't do anything.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
I think the last right before we started getting some work done to the house, I was looking outside at a star that is never there. And I mean, the stars change right through seasons. So I'm trying to figure out what star this is. And I'm looking out with my phone app that shows me the constellations.
Hmm.
And it wasn't a star. And it never changed. Like an airplane will kind of like dim and then start blinking. It didn't
Hmm.
do that. And I was literally I was just looking out the window for what felt like maybe a minute or two. And I go back downstairs to realize that like 20 minutes had passed.
Wow.
That was
Yeah.
the lost
Missing
time, was
time.
the most recent. Nothing else has happened besides spirits, just like human spirits. So that missing time thing was kind of strange. And I kind of get this feeling when I'm going to have an experience,
Mm-hmm.
like the air gets ominous or it gets weird. Like you have that high strangeness feeling, you know? And then
Yes.
you'll either have a sleep paralysis event or some sort of like crazy visitation from like outside almost to go look
Mm-hmm.
outside and then you see one in the sky.
Right.
So
I'm very familiar with that, how you feel the next day. Like like if I'm getting, I call them downloads. I know some people, I know a lot of people that call them downloads. I call them downloads. Um, I know that like I can always tell the next day how I'm feeling. It's like you said, it does. You feel like, I don't know, I'm super dehydrated. Like I can't get enough water to drink. I'm very like achy.
yeah,
I kind of
you're getting
feel
sick.
like
Yeah.
I got the flu a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I'm off, just completely off, and I
Yes.
can't put my finger on anything. But I'm always super dehydrated and just, like you said, like a hangover. It's weird. But
Right. Right.
I can always tell. I don't remember them. I don't remember the contact, but I always can tell when it's happened. It's like, okay, last night was, guess I was
Right.
busy last night.
Yeah. Or you get
Now,
like the flash. Like a flash is another, like it's like lightning, but there's no lightning.
uh-huh.
Now it's going to be easier for me to see that because I'm next to a busy road now because we moved into the city. But in a suburb, when there's no clouds, nothing like that, and you see
Hmm.
lightning, and then you look outside and that's kind of like it. That's all you remember for the night.
Right.
Then it's seeing them in the sky has become pretty normal. I haven't seen any since I moved here to Maryland. I also really haven't been outside. Um,
But do you think it's because of the move, or you think, because I've heard people talk about that sometimes when you're going through a transition, a very like a transition in your life, like what you're going through, like with
right.
moves and things like that. I've heard that it's almost like they know you need a break because you're handling other things,
That makes
and then
sense.
they kind of come back once you're settled. Once they feel like you're ready, you're settled, and you're ready for the work to continue. Like that's what I've heard many times.
And that makes a lot of sense because, we just made the big move. I'm getting ready to start the podcast up again. I'm getting ready to start school in October. So there's a lot going on
Yeah.
that, either I'm not paying attention and I'm not as open. Well, my meditation practice has kind of slipped the past couple months too.
That
So
has, for me, that's what really, really, really ramped it all up for me.
meditation.
Yes. When I started meditating, that is when my abilities broadened, increased in strength, and more abilities started coming. Like it was like the meditation woke it all up. It was like, oh, okay, like let's party, like,
Yes. Yes. Well, because you were finally listening, right?
mhm.
So from like a purely spiritual standpoint, they're just waiting around for you, your guides. And
Yeah,
even your deceased loved ones are just kind of
yeah,
waiting around for you to pay
yeah,
attention. And when you
yeah.
meditate, you kind of like expand your consciousness from like this little thing outward to pay
Yeah.
attention.
Mhm.
And you're
Mhm.
tapping into everything around you, not just what's going on in your own head. Because we keep it very like contained most of the time, our
True.
energy. So you're branching out when meditation, and they're
Yeah.
just there waiting for you. They're like, sweet, she's open now. She's open to listening.
Ex- yeah, exactly. So do you ever do any like astral traveling? Do you do that kind of thing too?
It's been a while since I've done any cool meditations like that. I have started back up with the Monroe Institute Gateway
That
meditations.
I don't know about that.
Okay,
What
so
is it?
Monroe Institute has a series of meditations called the Gateway Experience,
Okay.
and it utilizes a technology called HemiSync. So HemiSync is a way where certain tones are played and it unites your right and left. your brain waves from both sides or both sides of your brain, because normally you're kind of more like right or left brain just naturally. And your left brain's kind of there like in the real world, anchoring you around, like you're not paying attention
Right.
to anything else besides like this plane, this world, what's happening here. It's the logical side, as most people know. Your right side, the intuitive side, right? So it's the creative side. And when you're doing a meditation with hemisync technology, which is sound technology, similar to binaural beats,
Okay.
it gets both of your brain waves into sync. But the idea behind Monroe Institute's Gateway experience is to slowly immerse you into these types of brain waves. And it's like a series of meditations that builds on one another, pretty much. And then
Wow.
with the ultimate goal being an astral travel or an out of body experience.
Wow.
So what it does is specifically turns so everybody's familiar, we have a lot of water in our body. We have that cerebral spinal fluid that's encapsulating our brain and our neurons and everything. When you do a meditation with that sort of hemisync, it brings your brain waves to a certain resonance with which is 7.8, pretty much 6 to 7.8, which is also Schumann resonance, which is the resonance of the earth and its ionosphere, give or take. I mean, if we're having solar flares, uh
Oh my
things are
gosh,
going to
this is
be
so
off.
exciting. This
So
is cool.
you think
I
about your
gotta,
brain wave slowing and matching the earth because you're relaxed enough to where it's matching the resonance of the earth. You're now
right,
like entrainment happens. You're resonating with it. And then your consciousness goes from here, these little brainwaves, to these big giant brainwaves, and connects with the field around you. Like they're
that
saying
is
in one
so
of the studies that
cool.
it's the length of the earth. So what's going to get in its way? What's going to stop you from connecting with other people or other
Right,
dimensions? And another weird thing about that is you hit a point in brainwave sine cosine, right? It's a wave.
right.
There's a point where you drop down to a tiny fraction called the Planck distance. And when you hit that, you enter infinity, supposedly, according to this study and Monroe
Wow.
Institute. And when you're infinity, time as we know it ceases to exist. So a second here could be like a lifetime there. And that can give you access to other planes of existences and dimensions.
Right.
So
Wow.
that's what the
Oh my
gateway experience
gosh.
is in a nutshell.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, I'll send you
I
actually
do.
a lot
I
of people are talking about it right now. The CIA had a declassified paper. There's several that they declassified, but one of them was on the gateway experience. So I'll have to send that to you.
wow. Because like I have heard people talk about that space, right? Like that place, and they call it the absolute. Have you ever
Yes, the
heard?
relative versus the absolute. Absolutely.
Yes.
The absolute,
Yes.
absolute.
Absolute.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've heard that.
okay, I have to check that out. And I hope my son, I know my son was here earlier. I hope he's still here because I hope he heard that because he's very um yeah, he's got a lot of abilities but he's really into the astral travel, the lucid
Yeah.
dreaming, like really really, like he does a lot of different like things to kind of try to bring you into or to bring it on, not necessarily as you go to sleep, but he's been trying some experiments that he's working on. He's kind of developed some different things. And oh, hold on, someone has a question. Gary, thank you, because I missed it. I guess I missed it. Sorry, I get involved with my guests and I ignore chat
Mm.
sometimes, guys. I'm so sorry.
I feel like people think I'm not paying attention when I look. So I'm sorry if I'm missing stuff
Because
too.
it's hard. I'm still new to this, so I'm still trying to learn the balance
Well,
of
and
the interview
I'm
and the
trying not
chat.
to be a podcast host. I'm trying not to like monitor the chat and like,
You can
like,
monitor the
oh,
chat.
hey, like this is not my, trying to be
um,
trying to behave.
all right, Jimmy Crack Corn. How do you know what kind of spirits you're opened up to, and how can you protect yourself from evil or bad spirits or energies?
Well, this goes into your spiritual practice. Okay, so I have done some training for priestessing. So it goes into, I don't know how will you want to take this. I don't know how basic you want to keep it. But at the most basic, it's set and setting. Setting your parameters when you go into these spaces. And when you're young and you're open, like I was, everything comes through. It doesn't matter. They come through because you don't know how to assert yourself yet in your energetic body. When you're doing this on purpose, like if you're going to do a gateway meditation, or if you're going to do like any meditation, you can do something super witchy, like cast a circle. You can do something super simple, like pretend you're in a golden egg of energy or a white egg of energy. Or you can literally just say, I only invite spirits and entities into this space that are of the highest vibrational value, resonance, whatever you want to say, that will only help me on my spiritual journey, not harm me. And you can, and you can even throw in there like only spirits that are, you just say what you want.
Yeah.
You want some demons? Ask for, I'm only having demons tonight, If you want some human spirits, you're opening up to the spirit world, specifically the human afterlife, if you want ETs, I'm only trying to speak to ETs tonight. You literally say it.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
And I mean, there's been times when I have, and my son has done it as well, when I can tell that, because again, I wake up with that crazy feeling, right? There's been times when I'll wake up maybe 2 or 3 days in a row feeling like that. And then I just say to them, dial it back, guys. Like dial it down, slow it down, dial it back. And then that usually gives me a lot of relief, like that. I don't seem to be as, but there's so much power in the spoken word that people don't really realize how much power we have just with our words. That alone, is amazing, that we have, that we can, but envisioning, I envision myself, with, white light. I throw out my white light, and that's, but also too, right? Crystals and stones.
There
we can
are
also use for
crystals,
protection.
there's stones, there's oils, there's visualizations of grounding, like sending your roots into the earth and anchoring there, because you get a certain amount of safety from the earth. Like you don't want to just go into meditation all roots up, I guess. I'm crazy because I like not being grounded, which is, people are like, oh, you should never say that. You do have to ground your energy or you will get sick. You'll have medical problems if you don't ground your energy after a crazy meditation or experience. But yes, you should definitely do some sort of visualization of kind of like anchoring to the earth. That way the energy flows better, because it can stop. Like if you're like top chakra heavy, like if you're not grounded into the earth, it's just like a grounding wire. Where is this information energy going to go? Or it might hit you in this jumbled mess and not make sense because it's not flowing. And when energy is not flowing, if you're doing a download or getting messages from spirit, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So it's almost like they've always shown me like a bunch of words just kind of like funneling in and then getting clogged up, like almost like a hairball of words. And then when you open up your channel and anchor into the earth, it like goes straight through into the earth. And then it also keeps you here and gives you the safety that you're drawing out from the earth. So that's another thing people do to if you're well grounded, supposedly entities aren't going to bother you. They're low vibrational. However,
I was just going to ask you about low vibrational. I was just going to ask you about that.
Some of you are here to be warriors. Some of you are supposed to have the scary stuff, no matter what you do. It sounds jacked up. I don't like it. I didn't like it as a child. My astral attacks barely stopped in, 2018. They barely stopped. And I'm 37. So they barely stopped. I'm telling you, when I left Alaska, they stopped. And I lived in Arizona and Alaska and other places. But I think for me, it was kind of practicing my witchy stuff. Coming into my own as a energetic being, as a witch. And you don't even have to have the word witch. Coming into your own self as like a sovereign light being.
Right.
And saying like, I assert power over everything else that is not of my energetic level, at least, cannot be around me, which is kind of jacked up because some of us get into like a very low spot, and that's when we astral attacks. But sometimes when you're super close to like fulfilling your destiny as like a light worker or as somebody that's going to spread positivity in general, even if it's something simple, like you start a vlog on UFOs and all these people wake up because of it, to the possibility, or
Right.
you know, it could be very worldly. Like it could be like your job was to tweet every senator that's about UFOs, and that's why they put it on the docket for, you know, a Senate bill or something.
Mm-hmm.
It could be very worldly like that too. But when you get close to your goal, sometimes you'll get more like low vibrational entity attacks. And sometimes like it's your job to get attacked. It sounds super stupid and weird, especially when you deal with really invasive types of spirits like incubi and succubi, like who asked for that?
Right.
But every like faith has that kind of thing where it's like you're not being put through something you can't handle.
So do you think that when some of us are called, I say, because I say all the time, like I'm called to do certain things. So when people are fulfilling their destiny or their calling, or, well, you know, for lack of a better term, um, do you think that it does open you up to more attacks, negative attacks that you do need to be more aware of? Because I mean, I don't know if anybody else is going through a whole lot of craziness, but the last week and a half, it, like, everything in the world's been happening to me. Like, it's just, I just feel so like heavy with so much stuff, just negative things happening, you know?
Yeah, I think that some people, yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% one of those people that saying like you signed up for this if somebody's like
Hmm.
hurting you repeatedly, especially
Right.
when it comes to children, child abuse. Like, but then
Yeah.
there's people say, oh well, they signed, their soul did this, right? So it's hard to believe in the soul contract completely just because of the horrible things that are happening to people.
Hmm.
But what I can say from a life standpoint is when shit hits the fan, it's about to be rebuilt, you know? It's a tower moment, like they call in tarot. Like the tower, the burning tower, it's burning, everything's burning down. And
Right.
that's because there's no room unless you burn it down, you
Hmm.
know? So
Hmm.
I do think that people become more vulnerable and maybe not as aware of their own energy when you're going
Hmm.
through something and you're still meditating or you're still doing your spiritual practice or your rituals or whatever you do. You might inadvertently be like attracting like. And this isn't the case of an adult. I don't think that with kids. Like I'm just on
Yeah.
the fence,
Yeah.
the soul
Yeah. Yeah.
contract when it comes to like
Yeah.
child abuse. You know what I mean?
I'm still
But
on the
I'm an
fence.
adult and I know I'm being a jerk this day. And am I
Hmm.
really surprised that I attract other jerks in the
Yeah.
spirit world? You know, like we're just misery loves company kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But there's
And
been
I'm not
times where you're closest to the light and then these things try to like hold you back
That's
too.
yes, and
So
that seems like that's what I'm doing. Like, the more I'm on my path, I feel like I'm just getting bombarded by all of these crazy, and it's like worldly stuff. It's not even, like negative beings or anything, but I mean, it just seems like all of a sudden I'm like, I had to replace, an AC. I had to, I was in a car accident. Like, it's just like this. It's like there's never a break. Like every day it's something,
right.
something, 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 you know? So it's just kind of like, it just seems like the more I do positively, like with my show or in my own life, or maybe I made a huge breakthrough in my meditation. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now this is going to happen. It's kind
Right.
of a weird balance, but I don't like it. I don't
Well,
like it.
there's two reasons this could be. It could be you're not grounded, so you're not paying attention to
Okay.
maybe the AC was making a sound for a month, but you've been in like crown chakra land or galactic gateway chakra or
Yeah.
something, and
Yeah. Not
you
paying
noticed
attention.
the sound, or maybe you didn't
Yeah.
notice like the temperature of the food not getting cold enough. Maybe it's that, right? But on a completely spiritual level, I say that when stuff like that happens, you're about to have a breakthrough.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I remember I
It
hate
better be
when
a
they would
really
say it
big
like,
one.
it could be,
Priscilla,
right?
I'm telling you, it
But how
better
many
be a
times have you
big
thought
one.
that? How many times have we thought like, I'm gonna break. This better be like, this better, something good better come after this.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if it doesn't? That doesn't change you as a human and who you are
Right.
at your core. So you just have to like be prepared for everything. But I think in a lot of cases when people are doing spiritual work or even activism, they get attacked with all sorts of crazy things. And this is even just worldly, like you said, a car accident, something like that. Something that's completely out of your hands, like maybe you bought the house and didn't realize how old the AC was. You know what I mean? So you didn't think about it, and now it's gone. So like, so, and trust me, we had all sorts of crap break right before we moved. So I totally get the AC. We had appliances going out, and you know what it ended up being? It ended up being one of my family trying to get my attention.
Really?
So it's also kind of like a note to me to pay attention. Pay attention to not just like around you, like paying attention to like, your appliances and if they sound weird or acting weird, but also paying attention to like the energies around you that aren't you.
Right.
Without obviously absorbing that energy.
Right.
I got a reading from a really good medium that I know, and she didn't know anything about what was going on in my house with the we had a fridge break. So first it was the dishwasher, then it was the fridge, and then the stove cracked because I'm short, and I tried to like knock a bottle of hot sauce down from a husband's side shelf, and it cracked my glass. So she's doing this reading for me, and she's hitting all these nails on the head, like with like the spirits that are coming through that nobody would know but me, right? But this whole appliance thing, she's like, is something going on with like your appliances? And I was like, yes. And she's like, okay, well, they've been kind of like breaking them to get your attention. I'm like, what? You better cut that out. Like,
Exactly. Like, or you better balance it out and send me some money to pay for all this mess.
But also, like, people, and I hate to say it because it sounds very Catholic, but it's just a test sometimes. It's a test. Like, are you going to stay?
Right. Are you gonna? Are you right? I've always thought that way. Like,
that doesn't mean are you gonna stay? This like, people have this stupid image of these love and light people where they're wearing like a white dress and they're in plants with crystals going to their freaking forehead and that's how they always are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful all the time. The light shining,
gorgeous. Yeah. They wake up looking like that every day.
Right.
Yeah.
But like that's not part of being a real spiritual person. The part of being a real spiritual person is acknowledging light and shadow. Because if everybody was just this beam of light, which technically I guess you are because all this stuff is made out of light energy, whatever. But like if you were just this ray of sunshine all the time, why are you even here? You're not even human at that point. You might as well be in some other dimension with all the other light beings. It's like the people are like, oh, you don't understand me because I'm coming from 6D. I'm like, you're on 6D, where it's a perfect union with all beings, right? But you're on Twitter?
Yeah.
I'm just saying people are not real sometimes. I'm just saying, like, it's okay to have crappy things happen and get pissed about it. Yeah. You have to process that energy. You say there's thinking positively, and then there's thinking positively, not for real, and not processing.
Right.
Like you could think positive, still get mad, and process it. Yeah. But the problem is people expect themselves, like once you're like awakened or have this spiritual experience, you expect yourself sometimes because of what you see on social media to be like an angel guru. Right. No,
it's true.
And they don't allow for the human condition. Yeah. And it's very frustrating because people forget that doing something wrong by getting upset. Right. Do you know what I mean? So it's very important to just allow these like this duality to exist in your life, this light and shadow to exist and acknowledge it.
Right.
Because sometimes it can't be wished away. Sometimes positive thinking does it, but sometimes you got to slay a demon or two.
Yeah. I got to learn you got to teach me how to slay a demon because I don't know. I'm missing that in my life.
Yeah. Most demons, once you step into your own power, are just like these little.
Yeah, um my son had an occultist on his show like in the last month or so. And I was very surprised because he basically told the truth of exactly, what it is he does, and he uses demons as allies, and to accomplish what he, whatever. But it was an amazing interview. I learned so much. I think there's a lot of
Oh
misconceptions
yeah.
about witchcraft or
Oh my goodness, yeah.
demonology
It's all
or
social media. There's
occultist.
nothing wrong with any of it. I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah.
like
I'm sorry, my
most
head's still
real
hot.
occultists would never hurt anybody. Like there's people that do
Right.
like to do mean things. There are people that are what we recognize as demonic. There are
Mm-hmm.
people that love evil as we recognize it. But occult, witchcraft, all that, there's nothing wrong with any of it. It's just how you're using it.
Right.
Are you trying to
It's
hurt
the
somebody?
intent. It's
Maybe
your
not help somebody,
intentions. It's the intention. It's always
right?
that intention. And I feel like that's across the board. Like, what is your intention?
Right. I've met some
When
beautiful
you're,
people that work with demons. Like I,
mm-hmm.
I don't choose to do it just because I haven't met one that I want to work with yet. But
Right, right,
at the
right.
same time, I met people that are you wouldn't know it, and they're not hurting anybody.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this comment. Hold on here. This is cute. I love this. Mike, you're hilarious. Tell the demon to do the dishes and it will disappear.
Or
I'm
you
going
could
to
just
try that next
do
time.
like call them in and get the seal, and then like make it do your dishes.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah,
That's one way to
you know,
protect yourself. Go wipe that baby's butt. I'm gone. The demon's
exactly.
gone.
Yeah. Go change that dirty diaper, please.
Yeah.
Let's get to step in. Get over there. So now so I know that you said you're going to be starting school soon, and you want to talk a little bit like about like you if I understood it correctly, you're like, I mean, you're always in school and you're always on like this like journey, like learning and learning. So what is it? Tell me about that journey.
So it's all independent. So until now, well, I did. So oh my gosh, let me start over. I did hair for 10 years with the intention of going back to school. And then when I went back to school, I went back for molecular biology. I had my kid. I never finished my degree because in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to finish my degree. Once the baby's old enough to be put in daycare, I'm throwing him in daycare and I'm finishing school. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a job. Well, once I had the kids, I did not want to be away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you do, obviously. You're with kids all day. But I was like, I'm just not going to throw them in some weird daycare. They don't know, that kind of thing. So I was doing just my UFO research, my occult research, stuff like that, consciousness research, like independently. But I had basically a year left to finish molecular biology for a Bachelor of Science. I get this like a couple months ago before I move, I get this message from this guy that's like a casting agent, and they're looking for experts in the field of ufology and astrobiology. And I'm like, not an ex. There's really not such thing as an expert as that because we don't know. But
Right.
I was like, my goodness, if I just had that stupid degree, I could be like, yeah, I'm an expert. Throw me on. But I was not an expert. So like I didn't have credentials. So I start like going down this rabbit hole, like, is there any astrobio yet? Like, is there, like there was a few
Yeah.
classes, like I had one teacher that taught it before I moved and left Alaska, but it was kind of still laughed at. Where's the serious science with, astrobiology and stuff like that? So I
Mm-hmm.
end up on NASA's website, end up down this crazy rabbit hole, and end up on a page where they have all these degrees listed, and one of them is planetary science through Arizona State University.
Cool.
So I transferred my bio credits there, and I'm doing planetary science with eventually using the molecular biology to eventually kind of turn it into like a legit
That's
astrobio
that's
thing.
amazing.
Sorry, somebody breaking up. Breaking in, husband. It's makeup. It's makeup. I'm live. Can you go away? tied closed with a macrame plant hanger. Because of this whole time I'm worried about one of the kids busting in, the husband just wants to bust in. Because
Oh
I got
my
a box of
God.
makeup he wants to fight about, I guess. I mean,
Oh
he
my
doesn't really want
gosh.
to fight about it, but I was like, yeah, let's make
That's
it.
funny.
And
So
just
have you,
like, why don't delivery guys know? Like, if there's a man home, hide it
yeah.
hide the package.
Yeah, right. I know. It's like Amazon. Yeah. It's like it, let's just put it this way. It's too easy to buy from Amazon. Okay. It's just too easy.
Yep, it really is.
It's too,
It really
yeah.
is.
They make it way too, there was like some more steps in the process. I would shy away from it, but
For sure. But
it's,
it's like, buy now, see you tomorrow.
exactly.
Dangerous.
Exactly. So now, so what do you do? So you've got your podcast you're going to be starting up again in the next couple of weeks, you said, right? You kind of been on a little hiatus while you were in moving. And do you have anything else going on? Do you ever speak at any conferences or anything like that?
Well, I'm actually going to be in, and so I don't mess up the name, I'm going to be in New York
Nice.
in October co-hosting. I'm going to be helping co-host to announce these amazing speakers. Gary Nolan's going to be there, and the conference is called, and if you go to my link tree,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to find the link to get tickets online or in person. The conference is called An Inquiry into Anomalous Experiences and the Phenomena, featuring Dr. Gary Nolan, who is an amazing scientist. He's doing all this biological work, all this biological research on the brains of people
Wow.
that have had anomalous experiences. Now, it didn't start that way, but ended up that way, basically.
Wow.
And he's also like he has all these patents on this molecular biology stuff, and he's just like a scientist, like a hardcore scientist.
Uh-huh.
So he's going to be speaking there. He's from Stanford, so we have another podcaster that same day, Darren from otherwise known as Exo Academian, the Point of Convergence podcast.
Okay.
He is going to be speaking. There's some other people. Mitch Horowitz. I don't know if you're into any occult or anything like that. Mitch Horowitz is your guy. He's going to be there. He's an author and kind of like, people say self-help, but he's not like typical self-help. He's like punk rock looking dude. Like, he's super cool. And then there's a bunch of other amazing experiencers, and I'm co-hosting with James Angeli from Engaging the Phenomena, J. Christopher King from Experiencer Group, and Kelly Chase from UFO Rabbit Hole. So I'm not going to be speaking. I am going to be co-hosting.
Nice.
So, but it's like exciting to be able to watch all these speakers. There's going to be more speakers than that, but it's still, I mean.
Is there a name for the event though? Is it like?
Yeah, the event was an inquiry into anomalous experiences and the phenomenon.
Okay.
The link is actually in my link tree. So if you guys go
to your channel,
go to my channel or my Instagram bio. Inside the bio, there's a link tree with like the link to the event.
Mm-hmm. So, and you guys can find Priscilla. Her channel is called the Quantum Wytch Cafe. And like I said, go over there and subscribe and start binging her episodes, because I haven't found an episode yet that I didn't like. Like, there, and you literally have run the gamut. Like, you've got everybody, you've got people from all over, and that's one of the things I love about your channel. It's very educational, very educational. You always have on amazing.
I love talking to authors, so that's kind of like what I love doing. I'll be doing more solo things, like my first super awkward first video where I was like, I am going to talk about Vimana because I'm so nervous. I talk like a robot. Like, that's what I think of my first video. But people liked it, so that's fine. But at the same time, people are like, you need to do more solo things and interviews with authors because you like that. The UAP Book Club will happen. We're starting up again at the end of this month, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Like, do you have so? Is it the same? But is it the same people every single month that you do? Right, the book club, right? It's the same. Yeah.
Yes. it's a few guys from UAP Media UK. So so like I have a couple artists that come on, like a ET
Mm-hmm.
artist. He's not an ET, but he does this amazing artwork named
Mm-hmm.
Olaf Rockner. I have Dan from the Signal, who is a co-host of UFO podcast. I have Vinny Adams, who's just like a UFO, like he's just a research beast. Like that guy has
Wow.
like the headlines up so fast. I have other people, Sean from Witness Citizen. I have Katie Howland on whenever she can make it. I have Graham Rendell, an amazing UFO author, historian. You
Mm-hmm.
know, oh my gosh, Jay, I almost forgot Jay. I have Jay on from Experiencer Group, which is somebody you should check, a group you should check out if you're an experiencer.
Okay.
And then I have like a couple like random people popping in and all the time. And I
Cool.
also have people from Calling All Beings that pop on. Nathan from Calling All Beings. He's just Nathan right now. He doesn't have a last name to the public, I guess. So he's a very deep thinker. I love it. But yeah, I think that you can only fit 10 people on StreamYard when you pay for it. So
Yes,
I do
yeah.
have the same
Mm-hmm.
group of people. This
That's
next month will
awesome.
be more laid back. It'll be kind of
Mm-hmm.
like you need to read that. We're each going to give a book recommendation for UFO type stuff.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
UAP if you're fancy, because I feel like that's like just a fancy. Now it's UAP. It's like the now it has another
Yes.
acronym. So I
Well, I
love
feel
it.
like it's the government rebranding.
It is because this last name they're trying
It's
to
the
include like
rebranding. Yeah.
the underwater ones as well. So
Right.
which
Right. Right.
sounds crazy if you don't talk about UFOs. Be like, oh yeah, the underwater UFOs, those ones, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So do you want to do a reading for me?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So guys,
Let's
I
do
have
it.
this cool Mystic Martian Oracle,
I love that
and
deck.
it
I
doesn't
gotta
show
get
up when
that
I have my
deck.
green screen. So now that I have a real life background, um, it will show up.
I I gotta get that deck. I love that
It's
deck.
Amazon. You can have it by Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, just feed my addiction.
Oh my god, I don't even. So like tarot and oracle cards have become like so big, but I've been collecting since high school, and I'm going to be 38 in February. So I've
Wow.
gotten rid of many, and I've kept many, but I have too many. Like I had to stop. Like my husband unpacked my box of tarot and oracle cards, and he was like, "You have a lot." But I don't post about it. Everybody's like, "Oh, you need to be doing readings live," and people love it. But I'm one of those people. Like I probably have like way more decks than some people. I probably have way more crystals than some people, but I don't like to talk about it. I mean, I'm starting to talk about it more, but I just have a lot of crap, witchy stuff, decks, oracles, herbs. You know, and people are like, "Oh, that's so
Mhm.
cool. You're starting to do your apothecary stuff," and I'm like, "Starting." You have no idea. I just don't show my obsession. All right. So what is going on with these ETs for Marty? She's been having some experiences. What does it all mean? And then there's anybody trying to if you're listening to audio only, I'm shuffling cards for her right now. Do you do audio only or is it purely video?
It's both.
Oh, okay, perfect. So anybody not listening, I'm using or anybody on audio only, I'm doing Mystic Martian Oracle deck, and she was kind of talking about some experiences she had. So we're just trying to find out what these experiences mean for Marty. And if there's any specific beings that are trying to get her attention. I'm just doing like a past, present, future one because it's the simplest for right now. Okay, so this makes sense after what you told me. Recent past, you might have dealt with some more, I don't want to say negative entities, but more kind of like assertive, like in a rude way, bossy
Hmm.
entities such as like the Nephilim. So that kind of means that entities in the past were kind of like, it's controversial to say that you had a Nephilim presence, but at the same time, they are just trying to shift your perspective. it's kind of like the people that work with demons, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're only as bad as you let them be. So this Nephilim being was with you during a transition from your non-podcast time to now. So if you had a little, like, if you felt a presence there that was strong and felt bossy, it was
Mm-hmm.
not trying to control you, but just forcefully nudge you.
Okay.
Something
Makes
that's
sense.
going on right now is you're having Lyran energy move away from you. So
Really?
you have fulfilled like the strength and courage and bravery side on your journey. So this is the Lyran energy. And what this is saying is that you've sort of stepped into that now. Strength, courage, and bravery. So you've stepped into that by coming out and speaking more about your belief systems, especially
Mm.
publicly on YouTube and your podcast and just your practice in general. It seems as if you've sort of just stopped worrying about what people in your life are going to say, and now you're just doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they bring up your son too. You both have like a Lyran guide, but that guide's going to kind of like back up a little now and let somebody come through. So if
Interesting.
you have any connections to like cats, Lyra, um, Lyran
Yeah.
Starseed type stuff, the thing that
Yes.
you're going to be doing now is we kind of talked about that tower stage happening
Mm-hmm.
where everything's kind of like falling apart. You're going to be confronted with a shadow being, but it's going to be yourself. So it's not going to be a being, it's going to be you. So you're going to have to work through some of your shadow stuff that's not beneficial.
Mm. I
So
don't
the
like that.
strongest energy for right now is the Lyran kind of just having your back, but they're going to be stepping back now because they've given you the support that you need to be more Lyran, which is powerful, courageous, spiritual warrior, brave, kind of like anything that you think of a lioness. But you are
I
going to be left with yourself, but they've given you the tools to fight off this shadow self of yours.
awesome.
And people
That's
get like
amazing.
they'll find the shadow self is not always bad. Like the shadow self is
Right.
like the sexy side, your
Yeah,
fun
it's just
side, your kind of like, your bratty side, your flirty side.
mm-hmm.
But you're going to have to stop letting that part of yourself project onto you, which sounds super weird to let yourself project onto you. But there is a side of us that we see that's almost like disembodied when it's our shadow self.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't realize sometimes the shadow figures they see are themselves. So this is like a heads up.
Interesting.
If you see one, it's an aspect of yourself.
Okay.
So don't
It's
be
funny,
afraid.
or not funny. It's interesting that you bring up the Lyran because that's what I had another medium tell me the exact same thing that I was a Lyran starseed. So that's not foreign to me. Actually, that's validation and confirmation. And yes, I definitely identify with the Lyrans, and um, yeah, that was
That's where you're going
great.
to draw your strength from for this next stage, because this next stage is not going to be easy,
Yeah,
but you do have that Lyran energy backing you. But they're not going to be so much like stepping in front.
right.
They're not going to protect you from yourself as much as they've been.
Interesting.
Like you're your own worst enemy.
I can be.
So, it's
Yeah.
nice to know that you know the enemy, but sometimes that's harder than just like
Yeah.
hitting a bad guy with a bat or something. I don't know,
Right.
or
Yeah.
with a crystal
Yes.
if it's one of those. But yes,
Thank you.
just be ready to confront yourself and kind of break some like old patterns that aren't serving you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this reading. Thank you for the interview. I really appreciate you coming on tonight. We got to do a part two. Um, yeah. When you've got some more time coming, when you've got some availability, let's do another part. Let's do a part two.
Yeah, sure. Let's hang out
Yeah.
again. I like it. I
All
like it.
right. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, I love your channel, and I'm still binge watching all your. I'm still binging your channel. Like I love it so much. You
And I
guys
love
have got
yours.
to
You do
go.
all the dog man stuff. Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh, I
Yes,
love
yes.
it.
I just did a bunch of like an evidence review last night of some of my evidence. I have to be on another show here in like
Oh,
two
cool.
seconds. Yeah,
Fun.
so I'm going to be discussing my evidence on another channel. And so yeah, thank you.
Make
Thank
sure
you.
you
I
share
wish
the
I
link on your Facebook. That way we can
yes.
watch it.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Priscilla.
everybody. Thank you
Love,
for
light,
having
and
me.
blessings. Love, light, and blessings.
Same to
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks. Bye. And thank you guys for everybody in the chat. I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thank you so much. I'm going to be heading over to DA Ex Machina's show right now. We're going to also be discussing my Dogman evidence again on his channel tonight with the crew over there. So if you guys want to join me over there, you certainly can. Thank you guys. Thank you, Priscilla. Again, good night, everybody. And see you next week.